D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So today I'm being joined by my friend Kelvin, and he has got his own YouTube channel, the Cinephile. You guys can go over there and check it out. I'll leave all of the his stuff in the links down below in the description. Today we're going to be talking about the Snyder Cut, giving our thoughts and our review and everything. Before we get started, though, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel and to Kelvin's. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like ours usually get pushed to the back of the line. So we please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and we thank you in advance. We also ask that you do this to any small YouTuber out there. I'm pretty sure they would appreciate it as well. So we're going to get started on this review and breakdown of the Snyder Cut. First thing, Kelvin, what did you think about the movie, just from like a 1 to 10 scale?
Oh, well, I just finished watching it less than 24 hours ago, so it's still a bit raw.
Right on.
If I'm honest. I would give it, I mean, it's solid. It's a solid film, even though it's just under 4 hours. So it doesn't hit the 4-hour mark, actually. But what is it? Return of the King, extended edition, which I watched recently, actually. I give it an 8 out of 10. Possibly an 8 out of 5. 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, so it's in that range for me. So it's certainly not. I know some people are saying, 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10. Yeah, so it's not there for me. 10 out of 10. Unfortunately, it's okay, but yeah, that's where I am right now. What about you?
Oh, I give it a 9 out of 10. It was excellent. I enjoyed it immensely. Yes.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Right on. All right. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Oh, geez, I knocked on my microphone. Keep doing that. Okay. Just so everybody knows, we are going to talk about each individual part as we go through this and, what we thought about it. So the first part is called Don't Count on It, Batman. So this starts out with the death of Superman, and then it ends with the big Amazon fight with Steppenwolf. But let's start off with the beginning scene. I don't know how you felt about it, but I actually like what Zack Snyder does with the beginning of his movies. It's kind of like almost the end or a different scene from his last movie. So for this one, it was the death of Superman, and you kind of got to see it through a different perspective, seeing it through the eyes of Wonder Woman and Batman, watching him die from a distance.
Yeah.
I kind of like that a lot. I also like how his scream kind of shout out and resonated through the whole world, and that's what woke up the mother boxes. Yeah, what did you think about this part one?
I thought it was very good. I think, on Batman traveling to I don't know, this village, I guess.
Yeah, the Icelandic village.
Yeah, Icelandic village. I think, that's the beginning of his tone, right? Like Zack Snyder's tone and colors, and like that's what, I don't know. I never understood that when people are like, "Oh, there's no color in Zack Snyder's films," right? I think there's the Justice's Gray edition, which is black and white, and so if you compare the two, like, obviously there's color. Yeah, I thought it was very good. It's very luxurious, if that makes sense. Like, it sort of takes its time, and Batman traveling and going, and it shows you that he traveled far. Does that make sense? Like, it's sort of, and there's different lines like, oh, like there's no power. Like, how did he get here? Right. And so it shows his resourcefulness, but also like, he really wants to meet the Aquaman and to, gather warriors. So I thought that was good. Like, that's what I felt for the whole film. I don't want to jump too much, but, like things are explained more, like, and scenes breathe more. Because I think the Whedon cut, it was like edited within an inch of its life, right? Like, everything was just like, like scenes could barely like finish before they're like cut, right?
So before I move on to the end of this part, I wanted you mentioned him going to see Aquaman. One thing that I did not like a little bit, and I'm being very nitpicky when I talk about some things like
Sure.
this. When those women were singing that Icelandic song and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, the whole time I'm just like, ladies, can we wrap up this song because daddy's got stuff to do. I don't want to sit here and listen to your opera, okay? And like you got the back of the one's head and she's all smelling the shirt being all, single white female. It was very like that part. I was like, I got to that sometimes a couple of times where I was just like, yo, can we wrap this up? Because I want to go to bed. So that Icelandic song was, I was like,
Right.
this is
time-
nice.
What
What
time
was that?
starts?
No, go
What
ahead.
time did you start watching?
Oh, when it dropped.
Was
It dropped at
3
like
a.m.?
3 a.m. So, it was a little bit
Oh,
after 3 a.m. because I went and got a snack and everything so I could be all like,
Sure. Oh, so you
yeah.
watched it one sitting?
Yeah, the first time.
The first time.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, wow.
So,
impressive.
the second thing about before I want to talk about, because the Amazon fight, I really want to talk about that one. The second thing I really liked was the line at the end of this. I believe it was at the end of when Batman gets off of the helicopter and he gets on the plane with Alfred, and Alfred says, maybe it was in this next part, but it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna say it now. When he says the line, maybe you're not the best person to bring all these people together. I was like, that's a good point. Batman's kind of angry. Maybe he's not the best person, but at the same time, it's all we got. So that's who's bringing them together. I really like that a lot.
And I remember watching an interview with Snyder. This was like at the end of I think press for Batman v Superman, actually, right? Because they were just about to film, and this was after Batman v Superman came out, so everyone knew that Superman died at the end of that film. And he was saying, and people were asking him, well, why did you do that, right? And then he said, because Batman, and this is the argument, right? Like Batman is the more interesting character, so having him collect these heroes is much more interesting. Whereas
I happen to
Superman,
agree with that. I think Batman is way more interesting character.
Yeah, like if Superman came, right? I'm sure Aquaman would give him like give him attitude as well. But like if Superman just flew, like everything would just be like, oh, he flew there, right? And be like, I need you. And then Aquaman would be like, no, right? It'd be very like, I don't know. So yeah, that's why Snyder did that. So that's interesting that you noticed that.
Right on. So now the main thing that I want to talk about this part is the fight with the Amazons. This was not necessarily 100% different from the Joss cut, but there was more stuff in there and some very, what I felt were very interesting and profound things. And a common theme that I felt through this entire movie. By the way, if I mute it, it's because my children are being extra loud right now. They're playing. So one thing I really liked, so it starts off the same way, except the mother box wakes up, except I like that Amazon that went to touch it and then it broke open. But then when they get in there and they're fighting, which I really liked the line when she was all like, Amazons, show him your fear. And like, we have no fear. And I'm like, damn straight they don't. But then one thing that was very different. Oh, well, one thing also that I liked that was a little touch that I liked a lot was when that blue beam was coming out of the vault. And you got to see the other parts of the island see the blue beam come out of the vault. Like not everybody was all, armor ready for this whole thing. You got these women that were doing the thing in the stables.
Right. Like normal life.
So I liked that when she's all like, ready the hammers, and then they broke the thing down. In the original, in the Joss Whedon one, they just sealed him up in that little vault. And of course he escaped like nobody's business. So it was like useless. In this one, I really liked that the vault fell into the ocean. Right. I really like that a lot because and then Hippolyta has this look of, oh shit, when he breaks out of the ocean, when he pops up out of the ocean like a Houdini trick. I really liked that because she was all like, oh shit, I thought we had killed him. And now she's all like, crap, now we got to fight some more. But what I really, the one thing that I felt throughout this entire movie was sacrifice, this theme of sacrifice, because those Amazons, especially the ones with the hammers, and they like held up the wall and everything, they like knew they were going to die, and they're like, seal it up and everything. Let's get rid of this guy and everything. And I really felt that a lot more with this one than I did before.
Right.
So how did you feel about the whole Amazon fight?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about this film and extra time, right? So you get those extra lines, you get those extra scenes, those moments where Hippolyta is sort of looking and saying, looking at her general, I guess that the other girl is, I can't remember her name, saying, oh, like, what do we do, right? And she's like, and the general says, close it, like, do it, right? This is, as you said, this is a sacrifice. Like, this is what the oath we swore, right? If anything ever happens, then we have to sacrifice ourselves and protect the world. So you're exactly right. And that, it just goes to show you, I don't want to, the Whedon cut is horrible, but I don't want to defend him in any way. And he's a jerk, but he
is a jerk. We could make a whole video about how crappy a human being
I don't want to talk about him, but there was that 2-hour mandate, but it's insane, like the things that he cuts and replaced with, right? Like,
we're gonna get into some stuff that he cut that I thought was like, why? So.
Like you just said, like, show him your fear, Amazons, and then we have no fear. Like, that's
that's a great line. Yeah, it's a great line.
Right?
But he's a faux feminist, so
but it's an awesome line, and it shows the Amazons in such a powerful light, and the courage, and that's the difference. It's the courage, right? Because you can see, some of them are a little bit, right, like, oh crap, right, like something's coming. But when it's time to fight, it's like we're gonna fight and we're gonna die for this, right? So the scene is beautiful. I will say, I think it's a continuing theme of this film. Like, imagine if this, like, a 3-hour cut of this film came out. That's what we got originally, right? Zack Snyder's rated R version. Like, I think Whedon's version sort of, do you know what I mean? Took out the air a little bit from this version. But I'm glad they did. Like, I'm glad Snyder's smart enough to be like, no, it has to be 4 hours, because they saw little bits and pieces of mine. Even though he didn't watch it, he knows that, they must have seen a little bit of it already in Whedon's cut. So we have to make it worth it for everyone. So I thought, it's really well done. It's very, it's very Snyder, right? It's more violent, et cetera, but there's a reason for it. And I think maybe it works really well in the comic book films or the superhero films for me, the violence, because we'll talk about more. I think that's part 6. A little bit of violence there I want to talk about, but it's very, I don't know, the way it's shot, like, it's not disgusting or anything. Like, the violence makes sense.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the next part, which the name for that one was The Age of Heroes. And now this one starts off with Steppenwolf right after the Amazon fight, and he arrives at that reactor in Russia.
Nuclear power plant.
He's all like, I feel the radiation or the toxicity or whatever he says. I can't remember. Don't quote me on any of these lines because I don't remember exactly what people are saying.
Yeah, he says it's toxic.
Right, and then it ends with the past story of what Darkseid coming to Earth to take it over or whatnot.
It's awesome. That was awesome.
Right on, which that's the part I'll probably most talk about in this part, just because that part really. But one thing I did want to say about it was I did like, but I kind of liked it and I kind of didn't like it, was they talked about why Steppenwolf was on Earth and he's there to redeem himself from the eyes of Darkseid. And one thing that I did wish they would have elaborated more on it, because they're like, oh, your betrayal, and I was like, well, what did he do? Because why don't you fill me in on a little something? Because I'm like, okay, he betrayed him, but like, what did he do? Like, and so I wish they would have. I understand why they didn't, but at the same time, I'm all like, I would have liked to have known that, just a little bit about that.
I think, was it insinuated, Matt, that he tried to take over?
Yes, I'll say yes. But listen, I love me some flashbacks, so I would have enjoyed that.
That would have been.
So why don't we go ahead and talk about that history lesson, because that was my favorite part of this part, the history. The rest of it, I'm all like, it's a blur. I kind of remember it, but the history lesson, I remember all of it because it was so. I watched that part. I watched it 3 times total, and then I watched it intermittently, like just parts. I'll fast forward to the parts that I. So you liked this part, the history lesson?
Yeah, I think so. I think I mean, maybe we can rank the parts later. I don't want
right on. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead, but yeah, this part was, I mean, like I said, everything makes more sense, right? It's like, oh, why is he in Russia, right? Like in the Whedon cut, it's sort of just like, oh, whatever. He's there because it's, secluded, except for that poor Russian family. Like I feel so bad for those actors, right? Because like everyone's like, oh,
right on,
they're horrible or they're useless, which they are. But yeah, I really like the history lesson, and I think in the Whedon cut, sort of like most of it's in there, but this one's better because it is Darkseid. Like he's doing his own dirty work, which is awesome to see. And just when he gets I guess stabbed, not stabbed, what's the word, he gets
in the shoulder,
by
Ares.
By Ares, I was just like, and the blood's pouring out of him, and that's why he couldn't fight. He was like, I think he passed out actually.
He was like, oh, what happened?
Yeah, I was like, wow. And just that shot from Darkseid, it's been done before, I must say, but it is a great shot. I always like those shots where the camera's at the back of the character and they're like jumping out of a plane or a ship, whatever he had, and then he lands on the ground and he's like grabbing the soil, right? He's like, oh, such a great shot. And yeah, all the powers, like very Lord of the Rings, right? Like the Atlanteans, the Amazons, like the men, of course, coming together, the gods, the old gods coming together and like fighting to protect planet Earth and saying, you're not taking this planet to dark, which is awesome. So I mean, I thought it was really well done.
Right on. Yeah,
really beautiful. That's the thing, it's almost 4 hours long, but I sort of wanted more, if that makes sense. Like
for sure.
Yeah, like more. I don't know, maybe I'm being greedy, but
right on. We're gonna talk about some like furthering along the story later on. Yeah, no, I loved the history lesson. I liked seeing more more of the stuff that was involved in it. I really like the old gods, the Greek gods that they have in there. I wish they would have been able to show more of them. Obviously they didn't or whatnot, but I really like that. I hope they bring them back somehow, because this movie overall, it felt like that these heroes of Earth, the Age of Heroes, I felt like that they were the new gods of planet Earth. A lot of people were saying that, but I'm throwing it in there too because I did like it a lot. Yeah, no, I really liked the history lesson. That was my favorite part. I was all like, oh, this is so awesome. And I liked that Darkseid was the bad guy instead of Steppenwolf from this.
Yeah, it showed that he he was doing it himself at one point, right? I know they're saving him for the potential sequel, but it's sort of like, I don't want to bring on Marvel, but it's sort of like Thanos, right? It's sort of like, at one point, like, get off your behind and do it yourself. He's always like, no, let me send some servants to do it. It's like weaker servants, right? So I don't have to try. But yeah, I did like that we saw him actually fight a little bit and get beaten. But yeah, everything, even Artemis, right, with her arrows, that was awesome. It's, yeah, really cool.
Yeah, right on. It was very cool. All right. So then why don't we just move over to part 3. And the name of that one is A Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. Now, this starts off with the Flash and his job interview at the pet store. And then it ends with Steppenwolf at his base talking to Desaad about how he's going to interview the hostages. So starting off with that interview for the job at the pet store and saving Iris West, I really liked some stuff that I liked with that scene was I liked it when he was all like, she's like, you got a resume? And he's like from the French resume. And I was like, that's funny. And then this one, okay, so Iris West, the girl that plays Iris West, I did not write her name down and I don't have it here off.
Kersey Clemens.
Yes. Well, she has been cast in the Flash movie.
Finally.
So I say this is that the Flash movie is a sequel. That's my opinion. I think I hope they further on the Zack Snyder verse in the actual movies and not just keep it on HBO.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can talk about that more in the maybe question and answer period. But they are in a strange place with all of that. But I will save that for later.
One thing that I did think that dragged on a little too long was when he was saving Iris West, when she's like floating out of the car and everything, and he's just like sitting there, like moving her hair and grabbing a hot dog. The whole time I'm all like, yo, come on, you're Flash. Why are you taking your sweet time being all like a creeper on this girl? Okay, stop staring into her. She's stuck in the deadlights, and you're all just like, oh, and everything. Stop that. That crap's weird. Just save her and then get back into the store with no shoes on. Feeding those dogs that hot dog, which I kind of like. He's like, that's why I always carry this meat treat. And I was like, okay, well, that's weird, but whatever. If I was that interview, I'd be like, you carry around hot dogs in your pocket just for all hot dogs? It's so weird.
Yeah. I think, well, that's what they're going for, right? With Ezra, I think Miller, that casting, it's sort of like, instead of this, I don't read the comics. I don't know if you're a big comics guy.
I love comics.
Oh, good. Okay. So you can tell me like how Barry Allen is in the comics, but like I've only read like in my life, maybe like 2 graphic novels.
Oh, you should get on more of them.
Yeah. I read Batman Year One.
Oh, so good. So good. What was the second one?
Very good.
What was the second comic you read?
Oh gosh. Batman Year One was the graphic novel, and I read like a couple of Spider-Man comics. Gotcha. And I read a couple of Wonder Woman. And I actually like Teen Titans, to be honest. Like I'm a big Robin / Nightwing guy, Dick Grayson. But yeah, I do like the graphic novels because they're like collected, right? Like comics is sort of like,
for sure.
I don't no offense.
Right on. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So one thing also in here was the fight in Atlantis. Well, in that outpost in Atlantis. So I liked this scene. I liked how it was there was a little bit more in it. I also liked how you got to see outside of the outpost. Like one thing I didn't like was the Atlanteans when they were talking underwater. They were like, nee, 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 nee. And I was like, what is that? Is that like dolphin speech? Like, what is going on? And then they had to make the bubble to talk. And I'm like, yeah, daddy's not feeling this. And then Amber Heard, for some weird friggin' reason, had a British accent. Like,
this is in the Whedon cut. Does she have a British accent?
No, I think they had her record her lines over again.
Yeah.
And
this is why I think, Matt, because I had to confirm it for myself because it was sort of driving me a little insane. Was she has a British accent in Snyder's cut, which is his original vision, which is fine. I think her accent's actually okay. It's pretty good.
Oh, you thought so? Because it was driving me mental. I was like, oh.
But what was driving me mental was I watched Aquaman when it came out in theaters, and I was like, she does not have a British accent.
No.
So that's why, like I said, we can talk about it later, but this is the Snyderverse. This is
she made
like
a
sort
choice.
of an Elseworld story almost. Yeah. But and I just rewatched the Aquaman scene where it's just like Amber Heard's American accent. Like she sounds super American.
Right.
So that was sort of bizarre. I must say.
Very.
Yeah.
I personally did not like it. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it that she was going for it. That's sort of like the royal or whatever. Like every royal character has like a British accent, right? But yeah, so it's just strange. Like there's no continuity between the films.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. So do you have anything else that you want to say about part 3?
I thought, a lot of people are
keep
praising
going.
Cyborg.
I'm going. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot of people are praising Cyborg and his storyline.
Yes.
And it is better. Yeah, it's definitely better here. More fleshed out. I think the performance suffers in Whedon's cut just because of time. and possibly because whatever. I don't want to get into it. I will say it's better. I mean, I did tear up a few times because
oh man,
father son relationships always get me. But so I did think that was better. I liked Ezra's. I think what I just want to say about Miller's performance really quickly is just I think Whedon was like, oh, let's make him sillier and have that very Buffy dialogue, right? Like that sort of like whatever. Like why do they call it brunch, right? Like, oh, whatever.
I don't go ahead.
And then this one, like Snyder's, even with Lex Luthor, which we can talk about later, I know, but just I think Snyder's like, okay, he was like too much maybe in Batman v Superman. So just toning like Luthor down 5%, toning Miller down 5% from Whedon, like a more serious Miller, or a more serious Barry Allen, pardon me, like a smarter Barry Allen. You're like, in this one, he's like, oh yeah, he's smart, like he's a genius. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like awkward, but he's a genius, right?
Right on.
So even that was just so much better. And you can see like Miller's performance, like his acting is actually, he's a very good actor. So I think that was a little bit lost in the Whedon cuts.
So moving on to the next part 4, which was called Change Machine.
Yeah.
So this one starts with Gordon on the rooftop, and then the heroes that have assembled so far show up. And then it ends with the vision of what's to come with Cyborg seeing the vision of what happens after they put together all of the after they awaken this mother box.
Right. It's the possible future.
So oh no, I take it back. That's not where it ends. It ends with them bringing the mother box back to the Batcave and them discussing it. But so hold on.
That's in part 5. Sorry.
Yeah.
The vision. Yeah.
Oh yeah, part 5. I'm sorry. I am totally.
No, it's okay.
I wrote down my notes and then I
Yeah.
So okay. So anyway, so they get with the Gordon and everything, and then they go to save the hostages from Star Labs.
Yeah.
And I really liked this scene a lot more. I don't know if some of the lines that were in the Joss cut that were taken out, I was kind of bummed a little bit. Like the save one life and then save another one. I kind of like that line just because I'm like, for a new hero, that makes sense. Okay, if I just save one person, once I'm done with that, I can save another one kind of thing. So I kind of missed a little bit of those lines, but at the same time,
sure,
it wasn't a deal breaker.
No. You're not the only person. I've heard that as well, like from a original review from 2017. So this was, some time ago, but I remember it. I remember someone saying, oh, I like that line. Like, I like that conversation between Batman and Flash.
Right on.
I don't disagree. I think it's a decent line or a decent little moment between them. I will say, like, Whedon, maybe because of a lack of time, he didn't do a very good job. And he can't shoot a scene to save his life. Like I could shoot the same quality as he can. And he's been in the business for like 20 years. I mean, like physically, like the camera, like he can't shoot a scene. He's horrible. But his dialogue is okay. Like I've watched Buffy, so, and I like Buffy. So yeah, I mean, I think there are, like, that's the thing, right, about this. It's such a bizarre journey. There are like little things that you might like from Whedon's cut, from his contribution, like that line, like you said. I think his contributions were mostly awful, but like really awful. But yeah, there's like little things like that, right, that you might like. But yeah, the whole scene is just, it's just better. Like the music's better. Like Elfman did, I don't know if we'll talk about music, but Elfman did such a bland, poor job in the original Whedon cut. Like it's such a boring score. And this is like Junkie XL is much more like, not heavy metal, but it's much more energetic. and
Right
it's
on.
much better. Yeah.
So
Sorry, that was a
one
tangent,
thing,
but
what was that?
sorry, that was a tangent, but
No,
I
totally
just wanted
fine.
to
Totally fine. One thing that we talked about earlier. So remember when the Flash brings all those people outside and all that debris is falling, and then he is like going all over the place, grabbing
that's a great visual. Yeah.
So that was a scene that when Joss Whedon came in, that entire scene was done. Visual effects wise was done. Everything was done. And Joss Whedon took it out because he's all like, I don't think people will get it. And I'm all like, you're telling me that you've got a scene that is all the visual effects are done, everything is done, and you're going to just take it out because you don't think that us audience members are smart enough to figure out that he's saving people from falling debris. I'm all like,
And
what's
use
going on?
super speed.
Right. Yeah. I'm like,
The
what's
Flash
going, yeah, what's going on here? Like, I mean, I'm not a
Yeah.
genius, but I figured it out. So,
Yeah.
and then another thing,
I'm pretty sure like children could figure it out.
right on.
Like my students could be like, oh yeah, he's fast.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
can like,
Yeah.
zip back and forth.
Right
It's a
on.
great visual though. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. And it kind of, I liked, how it kind of sounded like a ping pong, or not a ping pong, but, oh, what are those arcade games where it's like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I kind of
Exactly.
sounded like that.
I
and
will
so
say, yeah, like little things I like, but that's Snyder, right? I mean,
Yeah.
all of his films. Like I love Man of Steel. Like 9 out of 10 for me. Man of Steel. Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. Like 7.5 out of 10 for me, right? So he makes good films, but there's always like little things where you're like, okay, Flash has super speed and he's pings around and saves all those or whatever, moves all those rocks, but then he like misses a piece, right? I don't know. It's very like
right on.
yes.
So real quick, I want to talk about the vision that Cyborg
Sure.
sees. I believe it was in part 4, but I wrote it down, and like the part 5 and part 4 are at the bottom of my page, so it got a little messed up. So if it is in part 5, people, calm down, okay? We're going to talk about it anyways.
Yeah.
So the vision that Cyborg sees, that the mother box shows him, I liked it because we got to see a couple things in there that I really, really liked. I liked seeing Wonder Woman's death. I like seeing her on the pyre with the coins, like they would do back in Greek times. The 2 coins were
beautiful.
sticks, and then I also like, if you look in that scene, you can see Darkseid watching her burial pyre going off. I also liked seeing how he manipulates Superman with the death of Lois Lane. Like he's like holding her charred skeleton. I liked that.
Yeah.
And we also got to see a hint, a little taste of the Omega beams from Darkseid when he's killing off Aquaman and the Atlanteans. Where it's like, I really like that a lot, because I was like, oh, more Omega beams, but there was no more. I was super bummed about that. But I did like that a lot.
It's an awesome scene. Like I was like, oh yeah, no, this is what Snyder wants. Like this is what he wants for the future, right?
Right on.
I mean, we can talk about it later, but I do think he sort of, I'm not trying to, how do I say this in a nice way? I don't want to be rude, but he's sort of
rude. Go ahead. It's okay.
he shot his shot a little bit with this. I mean, he used one of his bullets, including it in this film. So I think there is a very, I mean, I don't know if it's 50-50. I don't know what you think, but there is a chance for more from Snyder.
Absolutely.
In the future. With this success, right? I heard HBO, I don't know if it's true, to be honest, but I think HBO Max, maybe there were some issues, technical issues briefly, when the film first came out. And then I think HBO Go in Asia as well, there was some technical issues because of all the people watching it.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. So some of the servers had a little bit of trouble.
Right on. Okay, so.
But yeah, I love that scene. And Superman, I think it's in part 5, All the King's Horses. And I think Superman's like, and I just want to hear, I wore this shirt, so I want people to.
Right on. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And then, so I think Superman's holding the bat cowl, and there's that little scene of him, floating and insinuating that he's killed everyone.
Yeah.
and I do like that. I like I said, I'm not a huge comics fan, but I do like that Darkseid would, use Superman as his ultimate warrior rather than just, oh, let's just kill him, right?
Right on.
Like it's very like, it's sort of like, no, let's use him. Like, why kill him, right? So I do like that. But yeah, that whole sequence, you're right. Diana, Arthur, dying, and that's so Snyder. Like he's very, and we can talk about. I know that was one of your questions. The awesome boards,
storyboards,
boards, yeah, storyboards. I love that stuff. But I do have a very strong opinion on one story element. But yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I loved it. I think he, may have, I don't want to say wasted. He used, one of his bullets, but it's his choice. And yeah, but the imagery, Diana dying, Arthur dying, like that's so Snyder. Like he doesn't do things easy, if that makes sense. Like that nightmare world where we can talk about it afterwards in part 7 or epilogue, like, his ragtag Justice League is, it's like, well, we're going to get rid of Diana. We're going to get rid of Arthur because they're just too powerful, right? Like if they're still around, it's sort of like, it's a much easier fight. And of course, Batman.
Right on. And speaking of that, so for part 5, which you had already mentioned, that it's all the King's Men. So this one, they bring back Superman.
Yeah.
And it ends with them going to Star Labs, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I want to talk about them bringing Superman back to life and their big fight sequence. Well, they brought him back to life in part 4, but then they fight with him in part 5.
Yes, yeah.
So I liked this fight scene again. One thing that they did, again, they took out because it was in the Joss Whedon cut, but it was not in this cut, was the line where he's, holding up Batman by the throat. And he's like, you won't let me die. You won't let me live. What am I supposed to do? I can't remember the exact line. But
no, you're right. It's you won't let me live. You won't let me die.
Yeah, and I liked that line also from Joss Whedon's movie. I was kind of bummed that they took it out because I was like, oh, well, kind of that made sense. So I'm like, but at the same time, it wasn't a deal breaker for me.
No, like I said, right? I don't want to keep repeating myself, but Whedon's a good writer. Credit to where credit's due. So yeah, I think that line and probably the Batman Flash conversation are a couple of good or decent additions that he added to his cut. But yeah, and I know, one of my students said they liked that line too. This was like 4 years ago.
Right on.
But I remember him saying, oh yeah, when Superman says to Batman, tell me, do you bleed? Right? Like sort of making fun of him. But yeah.
Right on.
It's what it is, right?
Yeah. And then I also like when they break into Star Labs. I really like this scene a lot. I liked seeing Barry Allen, be all like, I liked when him and Aquaman, when he's putting on the 2 hats, and he's like, all right, hat A, and he's like, definitely not hat A. And then he's like, all right, hat B, and he's like, show me hat A again. I was like, oh, that's so funny. It's so funny. And then I liked when he was
because of the time, we have so much time, there's these little moments, like even things that like would sound like, oh, that's sort of like what, like why would we see that, or like a waste of time, right? Like Diana and Alfred making tea, and then she says,
love that.
Gauntlets that absorb energy. Why don't you make him a lasso in black? Of course, that's like, oh, that's such a good line. It was like Diana has that like that personality and that like sense of humor.
Yeah, I did like how he corrected her tea making. I was like, oh, I wonder if that's so British or not. Like the British are all like, Americans, they don't know how to make tea. Or in this one, she's Israeli in real life, but he's like, these people don't know how to make tea. What are they doing?
Exactly.
So they break into Star Labs, and so I liked how Silas, is that his name?
I think it's just
Silas, thank you. I wrote it down weird. My handwriting is atrocious. Anyways, so Silas, he kills himself. He sacrifices himself. And this goes back to what I said earlier. I think the theme in this movie is sacrifice. And he sacrifices himself to mark the mother box. Yeah. And I really liked this a lot. I liked seeing all of the Justice Leaguers. This was like the first time you saw them together, kind of like, you know, ready to go and everything. Well, minus Superman, but I really liked that a lot. I really when he dies, I felt it. I was like, oh, that's so sad, you know. I was like, but I liked this part. I really liked the Star Labs part a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very, like I said, it's rated R, right? I was sort of afraid of the rated R because I thought Snyder would. I don't know about you. I don't know if you're a huge Snyder guy, but I haven't watched Watchmen, to be honest. I just watched his superhero films, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and for some reason, I watched Sucker Punch. I don't know
Sorry.
why. Yeah. Well, the visuals are good.
I've seen all his films, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Even that Owl movie. So
how is it? How's the Owl film?
I did not care for it.
Oh, okay. There you go.
But I didn't care for it just because it was, I don't know, it was a little ridiculous to me, but you know, whatever.
Sure.
It was
Okay.
I'm pretty sure my kids haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure they'll like it because, you know, kids aren't very smart in my opinion. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, they don't know, right?
Right on.
So yeah, I mean, I think that scene with, you know, Silas dying and you can see him, you know, his nose bleeding and whatnot, you know, before he explodes. It's just like, yeah, it's really well done. It's very sad. Ray Fisher's acting is great throughout this film, so I think it's a huge showcase for him, and he gets more scenes, of course. So yeah, it's really like justice has been done for everyone, right? Because we see Snyder's vision. Oh, you're muted.
It's okay. Sorry. I don't have anything else to say about that part. It's just,
okay.
I really like the Star Labs part, but I mean, I really don't have anything to elaborate on that. So if you're cool, we can just move over to part 6, which is something darker. Now this one, I don't know if it was this one because I did not write it in my notes, but so Steppenwolf, this is the big fight sequence. And so Steppenwolf, he finds out that the anti-life equation, Darkseid has left it on Earth. And for a comic book reader out there, you know what the anti-life equation is, but for you, I'll tell you, I don't know if you know what it is, but so in the comic books, the anti-life equation is something where you can control everybody pretty much just at your will. So he found out that he's left it on Earth, which I was kind of like, I don't know how I get that, but that's fine. Whatever. It's not one of those things that I am upset. Like, I'm like, you should have explained a little bit better. Cause like people like my wife, who's a normie, she doesn't know anything about it. So she's all like, what does that mean? I was like, I'll explain it later. So they have a big fight. What was that?
Also, it's like, oh, I left it on Earth, and then Steppenwolf finds it. It's like, well, how could you? Well, I guess he passed out, but still, like, how could you forget, right? Like, wouldn't you be like, oh, we lost that battle, but we're gonna recoup, you know, even if it takes a year, 10 years, whatever it is, and we're gonna go back to Earth,
right,
and kill them, right?
Right
like,
on.
Wouldn't that happen? I don't know. Like, yeah, it's very Snyder, right? It's very like, what?
Yeah, right
like,
on.
How could you like forget?
Right on. So they have their big fight sequence. You know, Barry Allen, he travels back in time. I don't think they explain that very well either. I mean, it doesn't need to be explained very well because it's time travel, but I just felt like they could have done it a little bit more in explaining it. Also,
I think visually though, in terms of music and visuals, I rewatched that scene twice. I mean, I watched it the first time and I rewatched it. It's very good. Like him going back in time and you see like the bricks sort of
absolutely
building
the
again.
detail is very, very good.
Everything exploded, right? Including Superman and including Cyborg, like they died. So him going back in time a minute, you know, saved them. And so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I also I don't like Ezra Miller's running. Like his running is the friggin' like I don't. If I was Zack Snyder, I'd been like, listen, I feel you. You're trying to make a choice, but your arms look weird. You're like doing his arms are so weird. I'm all like some of the choices that Ezra Miller made, I actually liked. Like when he's doing the meditation before he's getting ready, and he's all like doing this little thing.
Yeah, he's like,
and when he does the little touchdown thing before he runs. I'm like, I like all that. That's good. That's good right there. But
I do like the touchdown as well. He's like,
yeah,
you know,
but when he's running, I'm all like, and I think I thought I saw he like watched figure skaters or like those swimming people, they acrobatic swimming or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
I think he said he studied them and everything. And I'm all like, why? They don't run, they skate and they swim. You, his arms really bother me. They're all like weird. I don't get it, but whatever. It's fine. It's not a deal breaker.
We'll see. Maybe in the Flash film, like Andy Muschietti, I think.
Everybody says Muschietti, but I like Muschetti because it sounds like spaghetti. Okay. I'm like, whatever. Say however you want. Somebody will correct us in the comments section.
Yeah, I think Muschietti will be like, hey, look.
Yeah.
Look, just run more like this, okay? Close your fist and just run like that.
Like, we need to have a chat, okay? A proper one. Like, who taught you how to run?
Yeah, like, I mean, but that's very... Like, Snyder cast him for a reason, right?
Right on. I definitely... Go ahead. We'll talk about it when we talk about the characters, but I definitely liked Ezra Miller's Flash in this movie than I did Joss Whedon's. Oh, yeah. It was definitely way better.
He's funnier, he's smarter, he's more competent. He's quieter, actually. Like, it's less sort of clown and more sort of, you know, serious.
Yeah. And so the last scene in this one is the Lex Luthor meeting with Deathstroke again. And this one was a little bit differently, just in the sense that he tells him who Batman is. I didn't like this part. As a comic book person and watching this movie, I feel like too many people can figure out who Batman is. It's like, they're going to set up the Justice League in Batman's old house, in Bruce Wayne's old house. And I'm all like, yo, Brucey Bruce. People are going to figure, like, normies are going to figure this out, dude. Like, you know, for being this rich dude, you're not very smart. Like, get it together, sister. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say about part 6? The fighting and everything? Did you like, I
watched the whole action sequence twice. I think it's very good. I think there's a good contrast because it's sort of like more normal sky, like, you know, black sky, like a dark sky. And then you have the red, right? From the, I guess, toxicity. Yeah, I can't speak. From the toxic substances, right? Like their guns, the parademons guns and whatever, and the lasers that they have. So I think that's like a better contrast, where I think the Whedon cut's like, it's just so red. Like everything's like super red, right? Which I understand what they're going for. But even Cyborg's line, I like that everything sort of, like you said, some things aren't explained very well, but some things are more explained well. Like the Flash is like, oh, it's toxic there. Like we're gonna grow, like we're gonna be like, you know, infected with a toxic, you know, toxicity. And you know, Cyborg's like, not anymore. Like he took it all to build his base, so it's like a safe area. Do you know what I mean? Like little things like that. That I like. I think the whole sequence is good. I really like, of course, I'm a huge Henry Cavill fan. I love his version of Superman, and he does have like a couple of moments here that are very good. Like his acting, I mean, or better than what I think most people would give him credit for. And I mean, I wish there was more Superman, to be honest. But yeah, there are some issues from the Whedon cut that are still here, sort of, in a way, even though Darkseid is there and it's much more awesome. Like Superman just beats Steppenwolf, right? Like pretty easily. And I know it's a league coming together and, you know, whooping him. But yeah, I mean, that was sort of like a minor issue I had with the Whedon cut, and it's still here a little bit, but it's just more violent, right? Like it's a more violent beatdown. And I also say the marketing, I don't know how much you watched. I know last time you said you don't care about spoilers or whatnot.
I don't. I watched everything.
Yeah, so I try not to watch too much. I did a reaction for the Valentine's Day trailer, and I didn't watch the last trailer, which came out I think like 5 days before the film came out.
It came out on that
4 days
Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it was crazy. And so I didn't watch that, and I didn't watch like the character trailers. So I try to like keep it, pretty. I wanted to go in like with fresh eyes, or not knowing everything. I do wish there was like one or two more Superman scenes, and like more flying and whatnot. And I don't know. I still think actually Man of Steel is Snyder's masterpiece. Like that's the most like focused film. Like this one has a lot of characters, right? Like Mira, and you have Volko, and you have Lois Lane and Martha and everyone, and Cyborg's parents, and Iris West. So there's a lot in here. So I think like everyone, but I do think like because of the almost 4-hour runtime, everyone gets their moment. So it is, in that way, it's better than the Whedon cut, just because he has more time. It has to be almost like, I know some people are like, there's some negative reviews of Snyder's cut, right? Where it's like, oh, it's too long, right? Or whatever. I'm like, it's less than 4 hours actually. And, yeah, it's one sitting, but look, man, there's like, how many? 6. There's 6 4-hour periods in a day. It's not the end of the world. You can handle it.
Right on.
Yeah.
So moving on to part 7, which is the epilogue. Now this one is called A Father Twice Over. Now, this mostly we just want to talk about, because I know Cyborg is a big part of the movie, but we could talk about him later. But the nightmare sequence at the end, I really liked this scene. I thought it was really good. I love the interaction between Batman and Joker. And I'll talk about it in just a minute, but one of the things that I really, really liked was when he's just like, he flips out that card and he's like, here's a truce, Bruce. And he's like, you take this card and we're good to go. But as soon as you rip it up, once it hits the floor, I got it. The truce is over. And he's like, you don't need to say a word. You just, when this is gone, it's go time and everything. And I really liked that a lot. I liked that line. I liked that whole interaction.
Yeah. I
really liked it a lot. And then when the Martian Manhunter shows up, I felt like this scene was a little bit not forced, but I kind of felt like it was weird a little bit.
Yeah.
He just shows up at the end. He's all like, hey, I'm ready if you need me. And I'm all like, well, where were you like 20 minutes ago, asshole, when they were fighting? Like you weren't. Yeah. What were you doing that was so important that you couldn't come help out? Like now you're ready, now that the fight's over with. So I was kind of like a little like annoyed with that, but at the same time, I got it. I get it. But
yeah. And I do think one of the legitimate criticisms, which was sort of saved by, there's a scene, a longer scene, basically, of Clark hugging his mother and Lois in the field, and Martha's very, like, come here, Lois, right? Like you're part of the family, like, so it's sort of redeemed by that. But there is like this really nice scene, like really touching scene between Martha and Lois, in her apartment. And then sort of like, oh, it's revealed to be Martian Manhunter. And I have seen a little bit of that online where people are like, oh, I wish it was just Martha, right? Like, I wish it was just a real moment between those two. Yeah, and, like I said, that's very Snyder, right? It's sort of like this is an afterthought. They said, hey, do what you want, You want direct control, you got it. We're not, they didn't pay him a cent. So he's doing all this work and he didn't get any money from it. So I do think things like that, like you're correct, it was a little forced, and maybe a little bit random. It's well shot, like everything Snyder does is well shot, like just the lake house and the panning, it's really nicely done. I will say the nightmare sequence, I don't like Jared Leto's laugh. I think it's a little bit too croaky for me. Like I wish it was more like ha, 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 like that, instead of like he's doing like a sort of and then like that, which is a choice, definitely.
How'd that go again?
I think it was like
no, I was just joking. I was just joking.
Yeah. I mean, I would like it to be more like like more
right
like,
on
obvious. I do like the card trick. I like the truce Bruce. I like that he was scared for a moment because I don't know the full line. Do you know the full line? He says effing kill you. Bruce says I'll effing kill you slowly to Joker. But I don't know.
I don't remember the line exactly.
I
word for word.
I will say some of the dialogue, and because of that, I know it's a choice that's been made. You know, everyone, the Amazons have basically Gal Gadot's accent, but they're like American actors doing an Israeli accent. So yeah, I think some of like little pieces and of the dialogue, I was like, oh, I didn't what, you know, I didn't hear that. And my volume was like at like 75 out of 100. It was like freaking loud. But I really like that scene. I do think I like that he's sort of like out of focus, and then when he says, why did you send a boy one, like blaming Batman, right? Like, you made me kill him. Like, why did you send a boy to do a man's job? Why did you send a boy Wonder? And then it sort of like focuses in on the Joker, or Jared Leto's Joker. I like all of that. I do think it's very, like, if you know I know it's a stylistic choice, but also the way it's filmed, you know, it's like whatever, 5 people in a room with green screen, right? Like, it's very close up, and it's very like, okay, we have like a broken down car here, like a couple of props, but it's very, does that make sense? Like, it's sort of like shot afterward. Like, it wasn't like this was part of the original. So that's why it's like these super close-ups of everyone, Amber Heard, Ben Affleck, Jared Leto, and then like maybe a couple of like medium shots. So I did like it. I do like that world. I mean, we'll talk about it. I think it's in your question period probably, but I don't know if we need a whole film set in the nightmare world. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I think he, you know, used one of his bullets for that already. So it's sort of, it might be a bit repetitive if we set like a 3-hour film in there. But yeah, I really liked it. Well, you said there were a couple of lines that you liked from Whedon. I will say, I think this is what I heard before. Like there was rumors, right? Like, oh, what was Snyder's original vision? What was Whedon, right? Whedon gave more dialogue to Lois when she returns to the planet. I will say I like that because I think Lois and Clark are a little bit shortchanged in this film just because there's so many characters. So I think in Whedon's cuts, Lois has the ending monologue. So I do like that. Like, this is much more like Cyborg and his dad. But I think there's like, to be honest, I think there's a boatload of Cyborg. So I don't know. I didn't think that was necessary, but it has to be paid off, right? With the tape recorder. Like you could ignore it, but yeah. I mean, I would have actually preferred Lois having that last monologue. That's just me, though. That's just me.
Right. So now I want to talk to you about the characters by themselves. And you can bring up some stuff that maybe didn't get mentioned when we talked about the certain parts.
Sure.
So the first one I want to talk about is Batman. Now, I don't know how you felt about Batman from this one. I really liked him a lot. I think a lot of what people benefited was because of Zack Snyder's, you know, the stuff going on. I think that Joss Whedon wanted to make this more of a happy fun time kind of movie. And I think that Zack Snyder wanted to make this more of an adult kind of you know, darker movie, and I really appreciate
an
that
opera.
a lot. Yeah. So Batman, I did enjoy him taking on a leadership role, but as far as like fighting goes, I did feel like he was kind of like, you know, he doesn't have superpowers, but I'm like, that's the thing about Batman though. He doesn't need superpowers. I just felt like, you know, where were all his toys this time around? Like, you know, so I was kind of waiting for that to happen and it didn't. But I did also appreciate him fighting outside on the tower at the end fight sequences when everybody else was fighting Steppenwolf, because I mean, he physically wouldn't be able to hold his own against him.
Yeah.
But overall, I did enjoy. I love Ben Affleck's Batman. He's probably my favorite Batman, so I really wish he would continue with this role. I don't know if he will. Now he has signed on to be in the Flash, but from what I've seen online, that's going to be like his goodbye to
Yeah.
Batman, his Batman. And I hope I hope he's like, you know what, I changed my mind, because I would like to see him as Bruce Wayne and Batman more. So how do you feel about
Yes.
Batman?
Yeah. I mean, I love Batman. Like as a character, that's probably Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, and Nightwing, right? And maybe like Starfire. Like those are my top 5, right? So I love Batman. I've loved Batman since I was, I think, 7. Yeah, he's a great character, and Affleck does a great job. I think it's a more subtle job, actually. I know some people have been saying, "Oh, he's, whatever." Cavill and Affleck are like lifeless in this, right? It's like, no, they're not. It's just a choice. It's Snyder's choice. Like it's very not slow, but it's very subtle, very quiet almost. And then you can see, in the scenes where he's angry, or not angry, but more emotional, then it comes out more, right? I will say there was like, I don't think there's a couple of unintentionally funny moments. I think for me, just for me. But like where they're bringing Superman back, right? In the ship, in the water, and Flash is running, and then Jason Momoa, Aquaman's like, "This is a bad idea," right? And then Batman, like, it's almost like kids talking, right? Because Batman's like, "No, it isn't. Just do it." Right? Like, it's like, "No, stop." He's like, "No, do it," right? It's like so funny. But yeah, I think it's a great performance. I think he's a great Batman. Like, I think when he first was announced as Batman, a lot of people were like, "Oh God," right? But he got into incredible shape. Even that reshot scene at the end, at the lake house with Martian Manhunter, he looks good. Like he looks fit. He looks like Bruce Wayne. And I think, yeah, and that's the thing. The Whedon cut was so Frankenstein. It was just such a monster, right? Like, oh, one shot, like, Ben Affleck's like, whatever, 200 pounds. And then in another shot, he's like 220 pounds, right? And it's like not a good 220 pounds. And so I do think that was one of the issues with the Whedon cut as well. Yeah, I think he did a great job in this. And that's one of my favorite characters. So, of course, he has like a boatload of screen time. But yeah, he did a great job. I really enjoyed that. Oh, even in the end when he's like, I think the dialogue for that Batman Joker scene is very, very good. Actually, I don't know if that was Terrio or Snyder, but it's very good. I just, Leto's performance is just not, my favorite. But when he's like, choose your next words very carefully, and Joker just keeps blabbing, right? Of course, and he says, "Well, that wasn't very careful," right?
Yeah.
I do, but I also, I don't know. I know I should have talked about this before. Sorry, it just popped in my mind. I don't know why they would need the Joker, to be honest. I think that was a little bit like,
well, I think Zack
contrived.
Snyder said that he wanted to have an interaction between him and Batman.
Yeah, no, yeah. But I do
So
think like, why would, in terms of story, like why would they ever break him out of Arkham or save him or bring him along, right? It's sort of, I don't know. Like
right
Joker
on.
has never been a physical presence, almost
Right
never.
on. Well, you mentioned Batman. Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, you mentioned Batman having a buttload of screen time, and one character that didn't have a buttload of screen time was Superman. So why don't we talk about him? I really like Henry Cavill as Superman. I don't. It sounds like they're not going to bring him back as Superman, which is, my opinion, a bad idea. I didn't mind the black suit, even though they didn't explain that in the comic books, the black suit is something that is a regeneration suit. It heals him.
Right.
They didn't explain that, but
I think
and that's fine.
very, yeah, it's not explained. It's very, from just this little snippet that I saw Snyder talking about. It's very subtle of him going up to the, I don't know, the sky, I guess, or the,
Right.
atmosphere, and him sort of like posing like Jesus,
Sucking in the
and
rays.
basking in the sunlight. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's very, very subtle, very quick.
But I did like when Steppenwolf went to go stab Cyborg in the back with his axe, and like Superman like flew in, and he's all like, then you call that a hit kind of thing, like just
Yeah.
giving that like, I'm about to laser your horn off, asshole.
Yeah.
So I really liked that a lot. But that's really all I have to say about Superman. I mean, I have to be honest though, I didn't like the whole I didn't like in the Joss cut. I didn't like the whole Lois and him in the field with Martha scene. I didn't like it in this one either. I was all like, oh, I could do without this. I'm like, I mean, I get it has to be in there, but he's all like, I'm just like, all right, you put a ring on it. Now, can we get on with this story? Because I don't want to see this. This isn't the life and chronicles of Lois and Clark. I was like, this is Justice League. Let's get to it. So,
but see, I don't mind that at all, because they have so little screen time in this, right? I know, like, some people would be like, "Oh, it's Lois, she's sad," right? But they just have so little. I mean, Amy Adams is like, how many times has she been nominated? 5 times for an Academy Award? Do you know what I mean? Like, she does have like a couple of like acting moments in this where it's very like just her face, like no dialogue, which is sort of like very challenging for an actor, which I liked. Because and that's very Snyder too. It's very subtle, because like if it was me or maybe someone else, when she's saying goodbye to Clark, and she's also pregnant in this, I think, so it couldn't have been that long. She's like 3 months pregnant, maybe, or 4 months, because she's not showing. And I think so. It's only been, I guess it's less time that he's been dead, maybe only 3 or 4 months. But anyways, like that scene where she's at his memorial or whatever, the memorial, and his head's off of that from the Doomsday fights. It's just like an acting moment for Amy Adams, and it's not very like, for me, I would say something like I would write, "Oh, say goodbye here," like to give her a line, but no, it's just like acting, no dialogue, right? So. But yeah, I mean, about Superman, I mean, I love Cavill's performance. I agree with you. I think it's awful, the way he's been treated the past 5 years. I wish he would, because HBO Max needs subscribers and it's more sort of niche, right? So I mean, I would, like, my dream now, whether it's a Man of Steel 2 film on HBO Max or a series, like 8 episodes, and just give them the budget for that. Like, give them $100 million for a series or a movie on HBO Max, and do that, right? So that's what I would do with Henry Cavill Superman. I don't think it should be goodbye to him. That's really unfortunate. But I will say, like, after hearing all that news, like, oh, it's a new Supergirl, and they're gonna cast the black Superman. I was like, I mean, us as fans, right? I mean, we won. We got this film. It's almost 4 hours. There's, a couple of new scenes or extended scenes of Superman. And if this is it, that's it. So that's, like, I'm glad that we got this. And if that's the end, which I don't think it will be, maybe for Henry Cavill, but yeah. So for Superman, I think it's better than what we had, if that makes sense. Even though, like you said, there are a couple of Whedon lines that I don't mind. I sort of like from the Whedon cuts. That you won't let me live, you won't let me die. But yeah, he doesn't have enough screen time, and also, yeah, he's like used in the promotional material, but he doesn't have much screen time. I actually counted his screen time. Like, I went through it again, the film, and he was like 17 minutes, around 17 minute. And I mean, Bruce must have like 45. But yeah, I think anyways, I just hope that we get more of him in the future. They just come to their senses and just give him something in between, like not just say, oh well, he'll show up in Black Adam, so that's good enough. Like I hope they give him his own, whether it's like a series, 6 episodes or 8 episodes, or just like a sequel on HBO Max. Because there's been a rumor that would happen, but rumors are rumors, right? So it's not real until it's actually real, like this film.
Right on. And one thing that was real was Wonder Woman. So I want to talk about her next. I really liked Wonder Woman in this movie. I liked the fight sequence at the museum. Or the courthouse. I thought that was great. I thought it showed her off more as a warrior. I thought that in the Joss, cut, this one's obviously longer, but I felt like this one was better. I thought that you got to see the raw power of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And also I liked when she goes to the Amazon shrine or whatever it was called. And one thing my wife said was, and I noticed it before, but when she jumps down in that cave and she lands and she's wearing heels, and my wife was all like, oh, those heels would have broke. And I was like, straight up. And I was like, and she's wearing all white and not one smudge of dirt is on that all white outfit. I'm all like, so maybe she's got like a repelling kind of power for dirt. But my wife was all like, oh, those heels would have broke like so hard. They would have broke so hard. And I'm like, oh, yeah, they would have. But it's Wonder Woman. So, they can't break on her. But I really did love Wonder Woman. I like seeing her with her sword and shield. I know a lot of people like her just using her lasso like she did in Wonder Woman 1984. But I felt like with Wonder Woman, you get the Wonder Woman who's a warrior, and then you get the one like in 1984 who's like a lover, where she more like defends instead of attacks. And I like the Wonder Woman who's on the attack, because she's like, why would I wait for you to come to me when I could just meet you there and kick your ass. So I really liked her in this movie a lot. And I think that that character benefits under Zack Snyder's leadership more than she does under, say, Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and that's what we've seen, right? I think Zack had more influence on Wonder Woman 1, and Patty had more influence, obviously, on Wonder Woman 84. So it really depends on what you like. You're correct. But yeah, I mean, I like the warrior more, and she's saving people, by the way. She's not like, you know what I mean? She's not like beating people up for fun. She's I will say the explosion or whatever, or terrorists, like it's terrible, obviously. Like if that was real life, it'd be terrible. But even some of his dialogue doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Because
that terrorist group didn't make sense to me at all. Like, we're going to bring you back to the Dark Ages by destroying 4 blocks of this city. And I'm all like, how is that bringing them back to the Dark Ages? Explain that part to me, because I don't get your logic. Your logic is not sound at all. Already your story's not tracking, asshole.
And it was a museum because they're children visiting.
I don't know. I thought it was a courthouse because it had Lady Justice on the top of it. But at the same time, the whole time I'm all like, this is just, I still didn't get it. Like, I'm glad it happened because we got that cool fight sequence with her in it. And she totally killed that dude she threw up against the wall. Like, his brain splattered on that wall. But I was the whole time I'm all like, this is weird. Like, I just didn't get it. They're like, we're a small fringe terrorist group and send us back. So as soon as he said we're gonna send him back to the Dark Ages by destroying 4 blocks, I'm all like, I don't think so. That's not how that works. That's not how it works.
Doesn't make any sense. But it's just for Wonder Woman to,
take away the internet, then we'll go back to the Dark Ages. But
I and also Snyder, I've seen this, a lot of people say this, it's just Snyder makes very, like, even Steppenwolf, right? Well, you make your villain bad, evil, like cutting heads off and cutting people in half in Atlantis, which was awesome, I must say. I'm not a huge violence guy, but that was awesome. Make your villains, and then the heroes will kill them.
Right on.
There's a reason for it. They're not, doing it for fun and laughs. But yeah, Wonder Woman, I think I lean more towards Snyder's version, like you. I think there's like massive plot issues for Wonder Woman 1984. not so much the character, the lover. I think she should, and she is both in this as well, right? She's very like, whatever. She helps the children, obviously, saves the children, and is very like, oh, you can be whatever you want to be, and it's very feminist, like, I belong to no one, right? Like, come, right? To Steppenwolf. So yeah, I think she's awesome in this, and I think, like I said, I do like that tea scene because it sort of like shows Gal Gadot's natural charisma and sort of that energy that she has. But yeah, she's great in this film,
Right on.
But that's the thing. I think Batman and Wonder Woman benefit the least from this version, but they do benefit from it. Don't get me wrong. But because they have so much screen time in Whedon's cut, that like Cyborg benefits more, like Flash benefits more. Superman, it's about the same, right? Maybe a little bit, like 5%, or 5% better. Lois a little bit. Who's the other one? Oh, Aquaman, a little bit more too, just because they get a little bit more screen time.
Right on. And speaking of Aquaman, that's a great segue into him. I love Aquaman. He is my favorite DC character from the comics.
Nice.
I've loved him since I was little. I always got crap over it. I will always be grateful to Zack Snyder for casting Jason Momoa and making him like this like very rock star kind of thing. Very metal. One thing though in this movie is I thought Aquaman was funny in Joss Whedon's cut, but I think that he's funny in this movie, but just a different kind of funny. Like I mentioned before, I really liked that hat scene where he's all like hat A, and he's like, definitely not hat A. And he's like hat B, and he's like, show me hat A again, and everything. I really liked that. That made me laugh.
That was a nice scene.
Yeah. And I liked there was another one, I can't remember. Like when he saved the guy, he was all like, tell him to respect the storm next time. I was like, oh, that's a good one too. So there, I really liked Aquaman.
Do you know what was my favorite? What? I liked when, I think it wasn't in the Whedon cut, when Flash is running towards Superman like this. So Superman's here, Flash is running towards him. Aquaman's coming from the back.
Oh yeah.
Superman just sidesteps and Flash runs into Aquaman.
Yeah.
They both go to concrete staircase. And then Aquaman goes like this at the end, right? So sorry, I don't know if you can see my screen, but he goes like this, like he's like, oh, he looks at Barry Allen's Flash. He goes,
yeah, that's
you
for sure.
Right?
Yeah, I do remember.
Great. So good. That's like perfect Aquaman, right? It's sort of like a little bit grumpy, a little bit like a loner, like you said, but rock star, obviously. With the long hair. But like that's Snyder's genius. Like he's just like, okay, I want Ezra Miller as Flash. I want a Pacific Islander, Jason Momoa, perfect. Because Jason Momoa auditioned for Batman before Ben Affleck was cast. So Snyder's like, no, you're not Bruce Wayne.
No, he's not Bruce Wayne.
But you're Aquaman. And it's like, oh, of course, Pacific Islander. They had this connection with the ocean. They respect it. That's perfect for Aquaman. So it's just such good casting.
Right on.
And I do think and someone has said this as well. I wish, like you said, that a different kind of funny, right? Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that even Snyder's funny, like what the studio made him do, which is like, I think Aquaman comes to the roof, right, with Gordon. It's in one of the trailers, I think Zack Snyder's first trailer for Justice League. This was like 4 years ago. And he was like, dressed like a bat. I dig it. Right? It's interesting that Snyder's like, nah.
Yeah, he does mention the bat costume when they're walking through that Icelandic village or whatever, but he doesn't say the whole. Does he say the I dig it line? I can't remember.
No, he doesn't.
And he's like, because he gets in the water, he's like dressed like a bat, but he doesn't say anything after that and everything.
No.
No.
But it is interesting. Like, even Snyder's jokes, like this is pure, like this is Zack Snyder's vision after 3 years, right? When he was sort of putting the film back together, rather than saying like, oh yeah, the studio liked that joke, but I don't really like that much. Like I'm not gonna keep it. So that's really interesting.
Right on.
And
go ahead.
They're gonna study this film in film schools for like the next century because it's just so interesting. but yeah, he's great. He's great in this. And I also like the line. I don't know if speaking about Aquaman, I like the line with the Flash where he's like, the Flash says, "I thought you didn't care," and then Aquaman says, "I never said that." Right? He said, "I want to be left alone."
Right on. And speaking of the Flash, we can just move over into him. I really liked Ezra Miller as the Flash in this movie a lot more. I thought that again, I thought the jokes that he had were great. I thought that explanation for certain things, like with his healing power, I liked how he was like, "Come on, Barry, heal, heal, heal," and everything. I do, like I said before, I like some of the choices that Ezra Miller made with the character. You know, like the meditation before running, the little touchdown thing. I really liked that a lot. Yeah, like I said, like the resume joke was really funny, resume and everything. I did like before with with Joss Whedon's one, he's all like, when he was all like, "Brunch, what is it, lunch or is it breakfast or lunch?" And I'm all like, "Yeah, everybody knows what brunch is. This is not funny. That's not funny. It's not a funny joke, Joss." Like I said before about Aquaman, I think that the Flash also was funny, but just a different kind of funny and a better funny in this movie. I thought he was very well thought out.
And the funniest scene in Whedon's cuts was Snyder's. Like almost, I think 99% or 98, whatever. Like 99% of what was good in Whedon's cut is Snyder. Like the funniest moment was when he does that little touchdown and he's running towards, you know, when Superman's holding everyone off and he's running around Superman and Superman's eyes move. So, you know, Superman's on his level, just a little bit slower. And like, I laughed my head off at Miller's expressions in the theatrical cut when I first watched it. And that was all Snyder, because Snyder said, "I'm just releasing what I filmed. Like I never watched Whedon's version. I would never use any of his footage, right? I have no, he doesn't even have access to his footage, I don't think." So yeah, that was like the funniest Flash moment was Snyder. And so yeah, he's much better. Like I said, he's just a little more serious, you know, shows him as more of a genius in this one, but still awkward, like you said, like a different kind of funny. And I do like, you know, I know, you know, people give him crap for it, you know, Snyder and his songs, but I do like that song when he's like saving Iris and he's like, and it makes sense. Although I still don't know how Superman and Lois can have babies, but anyways, like seriously, I don't understand that. But like where he like Flash.
Well, you see, when a man and a woman love each other,
no, I get that.
They make like a handshake, like a love handshake almost.
They just hug each other.
Yeah, that was in.
But I like how Flash is like so careful with Iris, and you know, sort of just letting her fall into him, basically. Rather than, you're right, if he's traveling past the speed of sound or almost at the speed of light, and he like slaps you, you're dead, right? Or even pokes you, you go flying, and you're like bones broken. So I know Snyder's spoken about that too. So I like that he like, you know, some people are like, who cares, right? Like it's a superhero film. Like honestly, who cares? But I like that he thinks about that, right? So like, oh right, yeah, if he's moving that fast and he like touches someone, they'd be dead, or their arm would be broken. So yeah, but he's actually, I have to say, maybe like I love Henry Cavill's Superman, but I think Miller's Flash might be my favorite character in this. And I love Batman.
For sure. Yeah, no, he's great.
In my top 3, I think. Like he's really great in this.
Right on. So why don't we move over to our last hero, and that is Cyborg. Now, I really liked Cyborg in this. Obviously, in the Joss Whedon movie, we didn't get to see a lot of him because Joss Whedon cut him out completely. Well, not completely. I mean, cut out his story arc pretty well. It was bare bones when it came to the Joss Whedon cut. I really liked him. I liked his struggle with being a monster. I liked, one of the things that Jeff Johns, the reason they took out Cyborg's story a lot was because they said they didn't want an angry black man to be the main character of this movie. And I go, Yeah, but he has a lot to be angry about. I mean, he had a father that neglected him. Then he died, lost his mother when he died. Then
Yeah.
he was going to die himself. His father
Yeah.
brought him back to life. But brought him back in. You could argue that he didn't have the quality of life from before. Might even be better, being a half machine. But
he had to he had to learn that, right? It's like, oh
yeah.
wait, like what I
So
have now
yeah,
is much better.
So I really thought this was a really fleshed out character with a story arc that could be relatable, that and was very, interesting. And I'm trying to find the words to use, but they aren't coming to me. But I like it a lot. I liked it a lot. I liked Cyborg in this movie. I liked him with that vision of when he's playing his dad's tape, and he gives that woman more money. I thought that was touching.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm just like, yeah, it's just Bitcoin or whatever the hell it is. It's just, it's just computer money. So why not give this woman that's, obviously
not real money.
Yeah, she's on the struggle bus as it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was great. And I thought it was like his humanity. Like, I'm not a huge Cyborg guy just because I never read him in the comics, and if it was Teen Titans for instance, which I did read a few issues of, like, I'm a Nightwing guy or a Robin guy, and his relationship with Starfire. But anyways, he's much better, much more fleshed out in this film. I thought it was touching. His performance is good. Like, I think he's a theater actor, Ray Fisher. I think he started in theater, and it shows. Like, this guy can act. So it's much better. I like his little relationship with Barry Allen, that friendship. I thought that was good. So yeah, and who knows what the future holds, right? I mean,
I don't know.
But that industry, I don't know. One of my favorite stories about the industry is, I don't know if you heard of this story, Matt, but they were doing a Revenge of the Nerds remake, right? This was like 10 years ago. I think Revenge of the Nerds is like 40 years old now. But so they cast everyone, they approved the script, they greenlit it, they started shooting the darn film, and a week into shooting, they were like, nah, let's not do it. Like, it's insane, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just an insane business. So never say never. I thought this would happen, like, if we were lucky, 10 years, like in 2027, we would see the Snyder cuts. So yeah, but Cyborg's great in this, really fleshed out, much better.
Yeah, I don't know if Ray Fisher will work again. I mean, really, and I'm on his side, but because speaking out is very, it can be hard. People can hold grudges, and when you're at the top of the food chain and you've got a grudge, I do not want to be the one that you have a grudge against. So I don't know. And he blames Walter Hamada a little bit, because Walter Hamada made that phone call, which was not good. But I don't know. Because, like, I mean, the signs to me are being pointed out there. Like, they took him out of the Flash movie, which I wish they hadn't do it. They're going to make a Blue Beetle movie. I don't know if you've seen the news about that.
Yeah,
but Blue Beetle is like almost like Cyborg, except it's alien technology. So they're pretty much like the same thing. They've got like arms coming out and stuff. They make guns out of their arms. So I'm all like, are they going to replace Cyborg with Blue Beetle? Yeah. I don't know. We'll see though. But I do hope that Ray Fisher and his Cyborg gets to be in more movies.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens in the next few weeks / months. I think things can change. I mean, I'm hoping they change for Cavill and Amy Adams, for that matter. Affleck, of course. But, I think Fisher definitely has some, like you said, he spoke out about it, which is brave. But I do think the way he went about it was a little not bright. But that's just my opinion.
Right on. So now I just want to talk about the villains real quick and your thoughts on them. Joker. How did you feel about Joker? I know you'd mentioned it before. Personally, I liked Joker a lot.
Yeah,
I thought that David Ayer on his set, it was very much like, hey, why don't you improvise a little bit? And I don't think Jared Leto is that kind of actor. I think that he benefits from lines, script. I know some people might benefit from improvising, but I don't think Jared Leto is one of them. I think that when you give him a script and I think that's the great thing about Zack Snyder is he's very detailed and he knows what he wants
yeah,
from his actors. And I think that that's where Jared Leto benefits from because he's that type of actor. And I don't think that David Ayer understood that.
yeah,
So I loved the Joker in this one. It made me go, I want to see more of Jared Leto, because
yeah,
I liked it when Superman shows up and Joker's sitting on that half bridge highway thing, and he's just like he didn't say it, but I felt like he was just like, all right, well, this is happening. And he just starts laughing. Like he's like, what else are we gonna do besides laugh about this? Because it's crazy bonkers. So I
yeah.
really liked
And we're
I
dead.
yeah, I really
Like
liked
we're
seeing
dead.
that. I hope they all didn't die. I hope to see more of it. So what do you think about Joker? Real quick.
I think it's better. Like the look is better. Like the aesthetic is better. I think Snyder's just a better. He's a better director in terms of camera work than Whedon. He's a better artist than Ayer. Like Ayer's very like workman like, right? He's very like he learned the craft. I don't think he has that much talent, to be honest. But
I agree.
yeah, and Ayer's not that good of a director, I
I
don't think.
agree.
Like he's very like I do like I like the purple for Suicide Squad. I like the purple whatever it is trench coat that Joker had. It's much more rock star Joker, which is cool. Like that's a cool take. But like anyone, like that's the thing about it's funny like the because I think we can all hate the studio and suits and whatnot, right? But it's so funny like when the suit, like I always say this, like suits, like when you should say something you don't say anything, and when you shouldn't say anything you say something. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like that stupid damage tattoo on his forehead, like someone should have said no. That's not happening, sorry. We own Joker, the character, the movie character. You don't own Joker, Ayer, sorry. So I wish they said something about that, but anyways, I think the aesthetic is better here. I think his acting for the most part is good. I don't like the laugh. But
What
he's
did
sort
you
of on the
think?
bottom of my priority list
Mm-hmm.
for more Jared Leto. I think that's actually more likely. I've heard that rumor as well. I don't know if you've heard it, but like a Joker series with Snyder. I don't know if he would direct it. I don't know if that's his style, but maybe produce it with Jared Leto. So I've heard that rumor. I think that's actually pretty likely because I don't think it would cost that much. And Leto wants to do it. I don't know if Affleck wants to come back. But yeah, I thought it was a good scene. I did like that nightmare sequence, like Mara and Cyborg and Flash are there. That was cool. Oh, and Deathstroke.
Right on. So what did you think about Steppenwolf in this movie? I liked Steppenwolf a lot better in this movie.
Yep.
He was kind of cute. He kind of looked like a little turtle, like with his little
Yeah.
face. And I was like, oh, I got very much Star Trek Beyond, those little creatures at the opening sequence, those aliens.
Yeah.
I got some of those vibes from
I
it.
thought about that. I remember
But
now. I forgot that. Yeah.
yeah, and I liked
Um.
like I said
Go
before, I
ahead.
liked him trying to gain favor with Darkseid and I liked that whole storyline, and I felt that that was way better for this movie.
Yes. Yeah. Like you said, I do think they should have explained a little bit more. Like maybe like Darkseid is my. They say my lord. Maybe they should have said like Desaad should have said you betrayed your brother or something like that, right? Or like, oh, okay, Darkseid's the big brother and this is the little brother, right? Steppenwolf. That would have been cool. It might be implied, but yeah, I like him more in this film. I think the design is better. I like the spiky costume that he has. I think he has more motivation, like you said. Like he wants to be redeemed. I almost, if he wasn't such a if he wasn't such a horrible villain, I almost felt bad for him, right? When he's just getting his butt whooped by the Justice League, I was like, oh, I sort of feel bad. I always had this soft spot for villains, even though he's like this big creature. And I know he's gonna lose, obviously, but he does. He earns it. He kills a lot of Amazons and Atlanteans and whatnot. So he does earn it. I think it's better in this film. His motivation and whatnot. I don't know if it's like some people are saying, oh, it's my favorite villain. I wouldn't go that far. But I do like him better in this film. And he's very effective. Like, I like that he's like, the way he moves, it is like a charging bull. It's very pleasing to watch. And I like that he's so powerful. And yeah.
Right on. So let's real quick.
Better.
Right on. Let's real quick talk about the inhabitants of Apocalypse, Darkseid, Granny Goodness, and Desaad. Now, I don't really know how I feel about the look of Desaad. I felt like his little collar was a little too big. But I did like his look.
Yeah.
I loved Granny Goodness's look. A lot of people are saying Judi Dench on there, that she looks a lot like Judi Dench. I loved it. I thought she looked great.
Short hair.
Yeah. I love that whole lesbian haircut that she had going on. I thought that was great. I think Darkseid looked great. I loved that they all had like this kind of armor that kind of looked all of it like it was made in one place, aka Apocalypse. So I really liked that a lot. And I really hope that we get to see him. I hope Ava DuVernay does not make her New Gods movie, because I don't think she knows how to do anything correctly. But I do hope that somebody knows how to handle these characters right and does it right.
What did she just direct? I haven't seen any of her work, to be perfectly honest, so I can't comment on that. I know Wrinkle in Time was disappointing from what I heard.
Oh, yeah, so bad.
But I guess she's like a documentary director, right?
Well, she did. I don't know if any of the documentaries, if she's directed any of them, but she did Salma, which was a good movie. She also did a miniseries for Netflix called
right.
That was about
13?
the Central Park 5.
Yes. No, you're right.
I didn't see that, but she did A Wrinkle in Time, which was pure crap. And so she's doing New Gods, and she's writing with Tim King. Now, I don't think that he did write he does write comic books, but I'll never forgive him for what he did to Batman. But
I have no idea.
Yeah, he handled their wedding, him and Catwoman's wedding, and it sucked. It was bad. It was a bait and switch. They honeypotted us, and then they tore it out from underneath us. He's a dick. Anyways, but I don't think that they know how to handle action sequences in the comic books very well. So I
Snyder.
and I don't think that there are some good things in his comic book and everything, but not enough that and all the stuff that I liked from his comic book, I don't think will work in a movie, maybe in a TV series, but it's just not, in my opinion, cinematic enough for.
Okay.
And I don't think that Ava DuVernay has the talent to do it. I think she's crap, but I don't think she can handle it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
what did you think about these characters?
And that's the thing. Sorry, just to piggyback off what you said. I mean, they announced New Gods in, what was it? I think 2017.
Yeah.
2018. Nothing's happened. So
right on.
I wouldn't worry about it. This is Warner Brothers we're talking about. Like, every DC film they make is like a small miracle.
Right on.
I honestly, I don't know how you work like as the head of a company. And it's just like, oh, let's just have meetings every week and not do anything.
Right on.
But yeah, sorry, what was the question? The 3. Okay. I thought Granny Goodness, the look was great. I really like the look. I like that she's like sort of solemn in this from what we've seen, or like more serious. Like she's very like, it's very Snyder, right? Because I think in some of maybe like Superman the animated series, which like was the only like thing I've seen Granny Goodness in, except for like a couple of comic panels, is like she's very like, she has that like bizarre voice, right? Like that man voice. And she's like whatever. I can't even do it. But she's like, not silly, but sort of more kiddie, I guess. And I think I do like Desaad's look. I like that his voice is different, like a little bit lighter than Steppenwolf and Darkseid. Like it's more sort of like that worm, right? Like he's like a worm. Like he's like that, like, oh, I told you, right? Like I told you he could, like Steppenwolf would fail, right? It's sort of like that, sort of like a worm tongue from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, right on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love Darkseid's voice. I wish we got more. I know it's just like a appetizer before the sequel, but yeah, and he looks great. I think he looks great. Maybe a little bit, I don't know, maybe obviously CGI, but yeah, I think he looks great. I like the design. I'm not a huge comics guy. I know he's the big bad, like he is Superman's Doomsday, but he is like Superman's most intelligent, most vicious villain. And so I would love to see, I would love to see a Justice League sequel with him and Superman and Batman and Affleck and everyone. So we'll see what happens. But I think aesthetically they look great.
Right on. Okay, so while watching this, how many breaks did you take?
Okay, so this is probably why it had no effect on me, the length. So I watched Force because this is what Snyder said to do. So I wanted, like, my plan even before the release date was, I'll watch it over 2 nights. So I watched the first 4 parts. So I think it's 2 hours and 20 minutes in one sitting. But I had like every time parts. So I watched like the prologue and part 1, and I'd be like, okay, pause, and I go get a snack and come back. So there's like, a 1 minute pause. And then I took like 24 hours off basically because I watched it at night. So then I watched parts 5, 6, and 7 on Friday last night. So I finished it in 2 sittings. So that's also possibly why I can't comment on like a 4-hour sitting, the length of it. Like I never like I've watched superhero films where I'm like, this is so boring. Like X-Men Apocalypse. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Of course I have.
Yeah, that one's like super boring. Like it's really bad. Yeah, so like watching that, and I think it's 2 hours, that film, but there are scenes in that where I'm like, oh my god, like it just keeps going. It's horrible. It's so boring. But yeah, so I never felt that way throughout any of this, throughout the 3 hours and 52 minutes or whatever it is. I never felt like this is boring. Like this is so boring. Now I will say there are, like you said, the Icelandic women singing. I don't know. Do we need it? Maybe not. I do think like even Peter Jackson's Return of the King, which I watched like less than 6 months ago, that one's I think legitimately 4 hours and 2 minutes. Like, could it be 3 hours and 45 minutes? Yeah, it could be. I think Snyder's cut could be 3 hours and 45 minutes as well. So that's like an extra. What is that? 7 minutes? Yeah, I mean you could cut out a little bit. So that's what I've noticed from like 4-hour cuts. Like
right on.
That's just me though. Like I know some people are, no, every line must be there.
Right on. So out of the all 7 parts of this movie. By the way, I only took 1 break my first sitting.
Yeah. What was your break?
At the 2-hour mark, that's when I took a break. I don't remember what scene it was. I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head what it was, but it wasn't even the end of a part. Because I remember I was like, oh, I'll wait until the end of this part. And then I was like, oh no, I gotta pee. And then I went and peed and I grabbed like a glass of water. And then I was like, all right, let's get into this. So yeah, it was 2 hours.
So it was just like a 2-minute break.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, we're finishing this. So my next question is, out of all 7 parts, which part was your favorite?
So did you ever feel, sorry, Matt. So did you ever feel throughout that, because you only took a 2-minute break. So did you ever feel like throughout the runtime where you're like, yeah, we don't need this, or like it's a little like verging on slow.
No, not my first time watching it. I was just like, when I took that break, I was like, oh, I need to hurry this up because I just wanted to watch it. It was
Yeah,
so good. So
yeah.
I went in real quick and then back at it. So
Okay.
yeah. So what was your favorite part out of those 7 parts that
I
Joss
think
go ahead.
my favorite parts was probably just going through them. I think the epilogue is a bit odd, to be honest. Like it's very like that dream sequence that Bruce has. Like I know people are going crazy over it and love it, and I'm sure I'll come to love it as well. I do think it's a bit odd. Um, Probably I have to say probably all the King's horses, because I think that was the most Superman centric part, maybe, but also just overall that final battle sequence is better. It's just more time. I think it has a few more minutes on it, and the color scheme is better. Batman's kicking booty. Yeah, Wonder Woman's like, and Wonder Woman's like slicing these like parademons in half, right? Like, blood's everywhere. Yeah, so I do like that sequence. I will say, I think what we said before, very quickly. I do think maybe don't count on a Batman, even though I love Batman. I think that's probably the weakest one. And then they all sort of get better as it goes. Like I remember watching like part one and two, and I'm like, oh no, it's good. And then like 3 and 4, I was really like, oh no, it's really good. Like this is really good. Like I'm gonna pause here and I'm gonna finish tomorrow because I want to savor it. So that's how I felt about it. What about you?
I liked Change Machine Part 4. I
Nice.
really like the Star Labs scene. I really
Yeah.
like that a lot. So yeah, that was my favorite part overall. Is Part 4.
Cool.
What was your favorite scene though?
Oh gosh. Uh, I think
Here, I'll tell you my favorite scene. My favorite
okay.
scene was the history lesson. I loved that scene. I actually liked it from the Joss Whedon cut.
Yeah,
I
I
like
liked
the
it there.
history scene.
Yeah,
I really
I
liked,
liked it
and
there as well.
yeah, I think that I just liked like I like seeing the Green Lantern show up, and you
Yeah,
got to see that. I liked seeing the Greek gods.
yeah,
I'm just more curious about that kind of aspect of it. Like,
yeah.
are they like from the comic books? In some iterations from the comic books, they're actually interdimensional aliens. They're from a different dimension, but they're just aliens. Um,
Yeah.
so I just but I did like the history lesson. I really liked this one a lot because it was dark side. I liked
Mhm.
seeing him
Yeah.
as in the comic books, though he starts off as like U6 or something like that. I can't remember his name or whatnot, but
Yeah.
he's not dark side right off the
Oxen.
bat. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. So yeah, no, I liked the history lesson. That was my favorite scene.
Oh, awesome. Um, I think maybe for me it was probably Barry Allen going back in time, or
Very
the Flash
cool.
going back in time, for the final one with all that whatever, like the
And
blue light.
Cyborg's head like coming together.
Yeah, yeah, like Superman's coming together the bones and
Yeah,
Cyborg.
when my wife watched that, she's like, "You didn't watch this in front of the kids," and I was like, "What kind of a parent do you think I am?"
Yeah, I will say it's
No,
a
I'm just joking. I
little.
didn't let my kids watch it. Please don't call CPS.
No. I will say it's a little. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I wish we could maybe get halfway between Snyder and Jenkins, if that makes sense,
hmm
for Wonder Woman. Like,
hmm
because I think 1984 is not really for like 5-year-olds, anyways, or 4-year-olds. But maybe that like people will. I don't want to make it about Marvel or versus DC, but like maybe that Infinity War / Endgame, like that hard PG-13. Um, but yeah, I mean I do feel bad that like, because I have a student who's a big Superman fan actually, and it's too bad he won't be able to watch this just because the parents will see that rated R, and by the time he whatever, 12 or 13. He's only like 8 now. So by the time he turns 12 or 13, and his parents are like, okay, who cares? Just let him watch it. He might not be a fan anymore, right? So that's too bad. I mean, for the kids, and by kids I mean like 12-year-olds. But yeah, I mean, that was my favorite scene. I think the music really comes together in that scene, and Junkie XL's score is just better. Like, it's just Elfman's score, and Elfman, like,
what kind of a name is Junkie XL? What are you, 12? Calm it
I think
down.
his real name is like Tom Holkenberg, and it's like Swedish, so he was just like, nah, screw that, right?
Yeah, but like, how do you address him? Like, hey, Junkie, what's up? Like, what is
Yeah.
that? What is that? Ugh.
But he's so good. He did the score for Mad Max Fury Road, so it's
Right.
very like,
Right
well,
on. I'd make
so
fun of
much
him.
better. And Elfman, I don't know what he was on, or maybe Elfman's just, I think he's like 70 now, so maybe he's not that good anymore. I hate to be ageist, but like Elfman did the
No,
Simpsons
go
theme.
ahead.
Yeah, well, no, Elfman did the Simpsons theme. He did the X-Men theme from the 90s. Like, incredible music, right?
Right.
And for this film, I don't know if he had like 2 weeks or whatever it was, but he just didn't do a good job.
Well, maybe he's like Hans Zimmer. Like, Hans Zimmer is just, he's so busy that everybody's like, oh, it's just the same thing over and over again. It's like, well, yeah, because he's constantly doing stuff. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of overlap. So maybe this guy, this old guy, he had the same thing. Like, he's just like, I'm so old, I don't know what to do. Let's just do this. It worked 20 years ago. It'll work again.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just think that's my favorite scene.
Right on.
It was really well done.
So you had mentioned it before, and I'm going to ask you now, did you see the storyboards for Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3? And if so, what did you think about those and that story going
I would love to hear what you have to say about it. I'm presuming you read them.
Yeah.
I read them. I was sweating when I finished reading those. I love storyboards, and I love like artwork, and actually Zack Snyder's drawings, like, they're not like, he's not like Van Gogh or anything, but I like his drawings. Like, they're very cute. I really like them. They're a little simple, but they're super cute. But anyways, so I like his storyboards, actually. I know that's how he works too. Like, he storyboards the whole film. And this Jim Lee did these ones on these what are they called? Not Bristol board. They're what are they called? Boards, anyways.
Yeah.
So I did read it. There was a little, the person who posted them on Twitter. I mean, there was a spoilers tag, fake him. But I was like, you know what? The story has changed. This was like, they did this 5 years ago, literally 5 years ago. So it's the spoilers aren't really spoilers, if that makes sense. Like, the story won't be the same. I think Snyder revealed a little bits in this one, pulled the curtain back. So I don't know how much he would do for the second one, if we do see it. But I think they're like fascinating to read. I do think the ending is a little bit quick. Like, they're just like, okay, whatever. That's the ending, right? But I would love to hear what you have to say about it first, and then I'll respond to that.
Well, one thing that I really liked a lot was Lex Luthor bringing together villains from each movie to form his Legion of Doom, if you will. And I really liked his idea of using the Riddler to figure out the life equation. I was like, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense that the Riddler, being this, enigma guy trying to figure out puzzles and riddles and stuff, would be the one that you would try to get to figure out the life equation. I really liked that a lot. I would have liked, I understand this was before Wonder Woman 1984, but I would like to see Cheetah again in his Legion of Doom, because I didn't really care for Dr. Poison from Wonder Woman #1, but at the same time, that's not a deal breaker for me. But I really did like his idea for this Legion, or Injustice League, whichever one he was going to call it. I hope he calls it the Legion of Doom. I like that a lot better.
I like Legion of Doom. I think Injustice League is a little boring. But he might do Injustice League just because it's more realistic. I like the gathering the villains and planning and plotting. It is very bare bones, I think, because it's like, what is it, like less than 10 pages, right, for 2 movies.
Yeah, it was
So
like
it's
12. It was 12.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Thank you. But I like most of it. I like the world coming together again to beat Darkseid one more time.
Right on.
That
Yeah.
was awesome. I do like. I know people go like insane over the Nightmare World. I don't go insane for it. I like it. I think from
One thing
Batman v Superman, if he
Well,
was
the-
jumping this
Go ahead.
into this 2-part Justice League film, actually, I think this is 2 and 3, right? And then
Yeah, well, I think he called it Justice League 2 and then 2A or something
there
like
you go.
that. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, sure. I think like when I first read it, I think the storyline of Bruce and Lois is god awful. It's really bad.
Yeah,
Like,
I do
really
not
bad.
like that. I don't like that.
really awful.
Yeah, I don't like that they had a baby and
Yeah, it's-
everything. And then Superman's like, got to take care
And
of
people
it.
yeah, it's very like, well, and then like after thinking about it, I was like, okay, well people were like, oh, he's a cuckold or whatever.
Yeah, I heard that a lot.
He's sort of not, in a way, to defend Snyder because he was dead, right?
Right.
So he wasn't alive. So they didn't actually cheat, sort of. But yeah, I really despise that storyline. Like, that's probably one of the only good decisions WB made in terms of the, I guess, the past 8 years since 2013, I guess 2012, right, when they started making Man of Steel. Like this new generation of DC films. Like that's probably one of the only good things they did.
Right
Was
on.
saying, like, hearing that idea and be like, no, like,
Yeah.
no, Snyder, that's not happening. Okay.
Yes. And I do think he rectified it in this movie with the pregnancy test, interview
yeah.
thing. And
Well, Bruce says it, right? He's like, congratulations, by the way.
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying. If she's not showing, then it must only be like 2 or 3 months.
Right on. And another thing that I did not like in those storyboards was, and I didn't like it in the comic books either, when Wonder Woman becomes the god of war. I know that was also a vision. I believe it was a vision in the storyboards, but I don't like that storyline in the comic books, and I don't like it now.
Snyder loves his visions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it if it is a vision, but I didn't. Who did she? Oh, she killed Superman in the vision.
She killed Superman. But
yeah,
I don't think she was evil. I think she killed Superman because he was evil, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because I read them like right when they came out. So and there's a lot to process since then. Yeah. It's been like 2 weeks, I think, or something like that. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember. But one thing I did like, I thought it would have been epic to see that end battle with the Green Lanterns and the Atlanteans and all those other people come together. I just thought that would have been really,
and the
really
military
fun.
and like.
Yeah, it would just
bomber planes or whatever.
Yeah, it would have just been very cool to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very great in scope.
Not like, I think. I mean, the Bruce and Lois storyline is so horrible, and it's throughout the whole thing. But I do think like Bruce sacrificing himself is good. Like him dying is good. Like I know some people like online like, oh, I hate when he dies, right, or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, but it's cool, right? Because he's a man. And I do like that Superman like saves them. I do like that the ending of Justice League 2, Diana and Arthur die, right? Like I think that's awesome. Like that's really brave to like, have them sort of save those. It's sort of very Endgame. I don't know if you watch Infinity War and Endgame. Sorry, I'm presuming you did.
Oh yeah, if it's a comic book movie, I've seen it.
Films. Yeah. But yeah, it is very like Infinity War Endgame, which is, that's the thing. Like Marvel's so fast, right? I mean, relatively fast, and DC is just or Warner Brothers is so slow. Like they're so slow.
What did you?
But yeah, I mean, I like the overall arc of it, but I do like that he, it is rectified. Like I would see this one. Like I wonder what I'm so curious to see what the sequel would be. So would like Darkseid, fry Lois Lane while she's pregnant, because that would be super traumatic. Yeah, that's really like in 6 months, because Darkseid's like, we will use the old way. So I'm guessing they're just gonna use a ship and like fly to Earth. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
But that would take time because they're on a different planet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean those boards, I love like Snyder said, it's a fascinating and cool look at it. So I always like behind the scenes things like that. So that was really fun. I just hate that one storyline, but I like the villains coming together. I like the Riddler. I like Batman and Lois doing detective work separately. I like that. Like there's even that opening sequence where they're like, "Oh, it's a natural disaster," and they just save people. Like that's awesome. That's all awesome.
Right on. Yeah. Who was your favorite character in this movie?
Like I said, I think. I mean, of course, I like Superman. Of course, I like Batman. But I have to say, in this film, I have to say Barry Allen. Flash.
Gotcha. Right on.
You?
It was Batman. Batman's awesome.
Nice.
I mean, Aquaman is my favorite character of all time, but I really like Batman in this movie. Did a great job. Yeah. That's why I really, really want Ben Affleck back to do more. I really want Batfleck. So yeah, I hope they make it. But Wonder Woman was a close second. Wonder Woman was a real close second. But
they're all sort of close because I just love the actors and their portrayals. So
yeah,
but I think in the film, Barry Allen for me in this film.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, overall, like I like Batman and Superman more.
Now going forward, I didn't write this down when I sent it to you, but going forward with the restore the Snyder Cut, what are some projects that you definitely want to see going forward after today? If you could pick pretty much anything, what would you like to see?
So I have this little, I don't know if you visited this, I know you're on Twitter, but there's this this Twitter page, what's on HBO Max. And so they listed all the possible projects going forward from the Snyderverse. So I just want to put that up really quickly and I'll read them to you. And you tell me, what do you think? But for me, I think, let me just go here. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So this is what he said, okay? Because I just read this last night. Projects that can be greenlit after the Snyder Cut. Number 1, Ben Affleck's Batman. 2, Deathstroke series. 3, Jared Leto Joker series. 4, Ray Fisher Cyborg movie. 5, Justice League 2 and 3. 6, Wonder Woman 3 with Zack Snyder as a producer. 7, Man of Steel 2. 8, Martian Manhunter miniseries. And 9, Ayer's Suicide Squad cut, the Ayer cut. So I would say for me, number 1 would be Man of Steel 2 or a Man of Steel sequel series. Like I even think bring in the new Supergirl. Like why separate them, right? Like have her cameo in that series or forget cameo, have her be a supporting character, right? To Superman's story. And like my idea would be, sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say I agree with you 100%. I thought I unmuted myself. When they're going through the ship and there's that open pod, and Zack Snyder has mentioned that before, but then they had the one pod that had a dead body in it, and the Flash was all like looking at it like ew and everything. But the open pod could totally be Supergirl. She's just all somewhere off on her own. So
yeah, or she could be frozen in the ice, just Captain America, right?
Yeah, and there was.
How did she survive for 1,000 years? She was
right
frozen.
on.
Okay, bye. Right? Like whatever.
And there was rumor that in the newest Suicide Squad movie, that they're like going to get this power that one of the rumors was that the power was going to be Supergirl. But that's not the case now. I don't want to give anything away in case you haven't read anything, but
sure.
yeah.
But I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm grateful that we got, this cut. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either way, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's no more or if there is more. I think they do want to do something with Snyder. Like, I
Right
just
on.
think he's too bad.
Was Man
Like,
of
he just
Steel
has.
the only movie that you wanted to see?
So number one would be Man of Steel for me, a sequel
Yeah,
with
give me
Henry
your top
Cavill.
3. Go.
Okay, so Man of Steel with Henry Cavill, a sequel series or a sequel movie. I want number 2 for me would be Justice League 2, because that would include Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck, hopefully, because Snyder's not recasting, that's for sure.
Right on.
So that would be number 2, and number 3, I would actually, you know what? I would say a Deathstroke series
Gotcha.
with Joe. I think he's.
I'm just gonna throw in Justice League 3 with your Justice League 2, because if you make 2, you got to make 3.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll
That's
just
what I
throw that in
mean.
there.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
That's what I mean. So his Justice League trilogies,
For
because
sure.
I think, like, while I would love, like, I want the focus to be on Cavill Superman. I think he's been mostly wasted so far. I mean, Man of Steel is pretty good, or very good, but I still think he's been wasted for the past 5 years. So that's my number 1, but you're right. Number 2 would be Justice League 2 and 3, because then we could get the whole band back together, and that would include everyone, including Martian Manhunter. So we don't need a Martian Manhunter series. And then more characters like Mira and maybe even Supergirl could join. And then 3, I think a Deathstroke series would be pretty darn cool, because it's not really super expensive. Like, you need a very good fight choreographer, but other than that, it could be really, like, gritty, right? It could be done really quickly. So those are my top 3. What about you?
Oh, Batfleck is definitely number 1, and I want that with Jared Leto's Joker from this movie. So I want Zack Snyder to direct it, or someone Zack Snyder-esque. Justice League 2 and 3, I need those, and everything. And then because
was it an Affleck movie or an Affleck series?
It was a movie, but if they did a series, I'd be fine with that also.
Yep.
Because a 6-episode series is a 6-hour movie, and Daddy's in for that.
Yeah.
Justice League 2 and 3. It doesn't have to be exactly like those storyboards. In fact, I do like that. In fact, Zack Snyder said in an interview with YouTuber Grace Randolph, which I will link up here in the iCard section, he did say that he has a 13th storyboard that he will not release to the public, and that includes Jared Leto's Joker and an evolution of the story. And since you said Man of Steel 2, because Man of Steel 2 was my 3rd one, but I just want to say I really want a Black Canary series with with Smollett playing Black Canary. I really liked her in Birds of Prey. I didn't like that movie, but she was I did like all the characters, the 3 main ones, and I did like her Black Canary a lot. So I would like to see her.
I've heard that quite a bit online. That chatter, like, give her a series, or give her and Huntress series on HBO Max.
Yeah, don't bring that Montoya woman in there, because she sucked. I didn't like her character at all. I didn't
watch it. I can't.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, don't waste your time. It's garbage. Well, watch it. There's some good things in there. It's just not the best movie on the planet. So So those are my 3. Did you want to give any final thoughts on this?
I mean, my final thoughts are, it happened. We won that battle.
Suck it, haters.
I will say, so Zack Snyder's Justice League is very, very good. Is it excellent? I mean, that's up to you, right, to decide. I think each person will have their own.
No, there's a correct answer. It's excellent.
I think everyone will have their own opinion on that. So my opinion is that it's very, very good. I'm glad to have seen it, his vision. It is a bizarre journey, I will say. Like you said, there's maybe 1 or 2 lines from the Whedon cut that could have been in this. That we don't mind. But overall, I'm just glad that, look, people got it right. Like, all the actors, had their had their performances portrayed, accurately or from what the director wanted, and yeah, that's about it. So we should be happy with it. I will say I don't think this is the end. I don't think so. I just think I think Snyder's right now, he's not peaking, but he's just, and this is one of his highest rated films, critically, right? I mean, I think a lot of critics don't like him, or his films, I mean. And I think it has 75 or 74 on Rotten Tomatoes now. And I know people don't care, but I'm just saying, so I think AT&T and Warner Media will not let him go. I think there will be an offer, and yeah, it's not the end, that's for sure. I'd be shocked, actually. I would be not shocked, but I would be surprised if Warner Media, which owns Warner Brothers now, is like, nah, we don't want, that's good, we're done, right? Like, just from like the hype and people saying like this has to continue, right? Like thousands of people saying, or tens of thousands of people saying this should continue, right? I don't think they'll let it go, and they need content, quite frankly. Like you said, like an Affleck series, a Cavill series, a Black Canary series. Why not? Honestly, why not, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you're a $1 billion company, figure it out. And
right on.
I mean, of course, don't be stupid, don't like say, oh, we're gonna spend $500 million to get Affleck, and you know what I mean? But I think the bigger question, I don't know if you agree, but the bigger question is, why I'm really glad to have this film, and I don't want to be greedy. I think the bigger question is, will they actually do the multiverse and keep this on HBO Max, like the Snyderverse on HBO Max exclusively, and just be like, we'll have to see the numbers. Maybe they'll release some numbers and see how they are, because if I can see it being like, oh, the numbers are good, but they're not that good, right? Or yeah, we got new subscribers, but not that many, right? They might wait until Godzilla versus Kong and see what happens there, right? Like the previous 48 hours or 72 hours before that film hits, and see, well, how many do we get for that? And compare them. But I think, I don't think it's the end. And I think, we'll get more. But it might just be, and Snyder's a human being, so he can't do like 10 projects at the same time. I mean, direct. So he can only produce so much. So I think he might take a producer role for some of them. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I'm very curious to see what happens in the future. I mean, I hope we get some news on this coming week, from Monday to Fridays at some point. I hope they say something. But it is like, I know I'm rambling here. It is sort of like I said, it's sort of a bit of an odd situation. I know they can sort of explain it away with the multiverse and just keep it on HBO Max. So like the Snyderverse will continue on HBO Max. Maybe that's all they'll say, and then we have to wait like 6 months for more. Because I mean, it is a lot of money, right? So I don't think they'll just say, okay, Zack, here's 200 million. Do a Justice League 2 right now. I don't think Snyder would do it right now, right? I think he'd be like, okay, guys, I'm gonna go on vacation, and then I'll come back. So that's it. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Right on. Yeah, no, there is a correct answer on this. I'm sorry. This movie was excellent. If you're somebody that doesn't like it, then I'm sorry you have a character flaw. But, I do think that Zack Snyder is an auteur filmmaker. And I think that this is definitely something that we needed, because I think that it speaks to, the problems that goes on with a film. And I think that the problems on this film are now dealt with, and I think that moving forward, they'll see that Zack Snyder is the answer to some problems that they have with the DCEU.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are.
And sorry, Matt, and just very quickly, and they created this problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Warner Brothers doesn't know what they're doing. They're stupid.
They have to. Now, I've heard this as well. I wouldn't agree with this, but it actually would have been better, for Warner Brothers. If you really wanted to, they should have fired him before he even shot Justice League, right? So that's one way to solve it, which I would not be happy with. But so that's one option. Or number two, they should just let him finish it, right? And say, hey, you need 6 months to be with your family. Fine, we'll delay it by 6 months, okay? But you have to promise to come back and finish it. And of course, he would say, okay, fine. And then release it there, and that would be done with. So they created this problem. You know, I mean, I don't, you know, I'm not huge like, oh yeah, we should bully them, right? And like, you know, swear at them. I'm not a huge, you know, believer of that. But yeah, I mean, they created this problem. So, but as you said, it's solved now. So we'll see what happens in the future.
All right, you guys. So that is our breakdown and review of the Snyder Cut. It may have been a long one, but I think our thoughts are worth it. You know, I think you guys stuck around to the end. If you like this video, well, go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. Go check out Calvin's YouTube channel. Like I said, all the stuff will be in the description down below. It'll also be at the end of this video. Go over there, take a look at his stuff. He does some really fun stuff over there. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. Calvin, you won't mind either? No,
okay. Of course not.
All right. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next review. You guys have a good day. Bye.